Let's take a listen at this video, this conversation between Piers Morgan and George Galloway. He pretty much schooled him and taught him some very common sense. I'll be making some comments as well.
That's not to say that the resistance fighters who are now taking a heavy toll on Netanyahu's invaders, very heavy. It's now 9 months. They still haven't quashed the resistance in these camps.
Well, they're not going to defeat Hamas in its entirety.
No, and some have acknowledged
and they certainly,
that.
in my opinion, the massive flaw with this strategy, I think they are fueling, not ending the ideology.
For sure.
I can't imagine that the amount of bloodshed of civilians we've seen is not going to inspire a lot more people to embrace the revenge ideology that Hamas have represented.
Didn't we discover that ourselves in our own country?
Okay, so basically Piers Morgan is accepting a defeat, but why now? This video is from January of this year. Take a look at this video. In this video, you can see this brigade, this Diaper Army IDF brigade is leaving Gaza. Take a look. So this was the ceremony that was held. Like I have always said, this is what this is reading here. Israel cannot defeat Hamas or anyone in a ground war. These self-anointed chosen people can only bomb innocents from the skies because they are snowflakes who mass murder innocent people. IDF soldier. Now this is the 36th division of IDF soldiers, such as the Golani Brigade, have now exited from Gaza. Thank you for your service. So again, they left or they exited Gaza back in January when the war was in the middle of it, or in the beginning of it, the way you want to put it. And when Piers Morgan is now accepting defeat after so many months, almost more than 9 months now, it is just so unbelievable, to say the least, that these people, they did not realize that they cannot defeat Hamas. They did, but they wanted to hide it. They could not ever imagine of getting rid of Hamas, because if they could, Hamas was formed in 1987, the beginning or actually the end of 1987. They could have gotten rid of Hamas by now, but they did not. They cannot, and they know it. They knew it before October 7. They know it now, and what they do, because we cannot win them over, we will kill their children and their women.
We interned, without trial, thousands of Roman Catholics in the north of Ireland. We guaranteed the struggle of the Irish Republican Army for decades afterwards. We made a university for them behind the wire. This kind of failure to address legitimate grievances of people can only generate future hatred.
See, I believe fundamentally every Palestinian should have exactly the same human rights and freedoms as every Israeli.
Me too.
Right?
Me
On
too.
that we agree.
Me too.
Right, the question is...
And within one state it will have to be, because the two-state solution, which I supported as an Arafatist, I look foolish now, having supported the Oslo Agreement. I look like an idiot.
Why?
Arafat looks like an idiot. Because we believed that there would be a two-state solution. And almost 40 years after the agreement, there's not one centimetre of Palestine free.
Absolutely.
And Gaza is in complete ruins. The West Bank is on fire. Settlers are running amok. The attempt to ethnically cleanse the West Bank and East Jerusalem is running concurrently with the slaughter in Gaza. So where are you going to put two-state
Well,
solution?
I would add a massive but to that, which is, but one of the main reasons for this current mayhem is what Hamas did on October the 7th.
I don't agree at all with that. And
have to agree with that,
The
surely.
chronology makes it clear that that's not true. There's 800,000 illegal settlers in the West Bank. They all settled there long before October the 7th.
I think, look, again, for the record, the expansion of the settlements, particularly since October the 7th, is completely outrageous. It shouldn't be happening.
99.9% of them were all built before October the 7th.
Okay, so my question to Piers Morgan is, if the settlers are coming right now, he said that after October 7, it is outrageous. So if that is the case, then why you blame Hamas squarely? Why are you doing this? Well, he's trying to blame and make Hamas looks like a evil force, But at the same time, he's saying, no, there are settlers coming in Palestine every single day, thousands of them. And look what Hamas is doing. They're killing them. Oh my God. So one hand, he's blaming that there should not be any settlers, especially after October 7. On the other hand, he's saying, look, this is what Hamas is doing. This is their doing. Because of them, it is all started. I mean, this guy is just complete nincompoop.
As foolish to think that this all began on October 7th. I know you don't, but many commentators feel that way, talk that way, that it all begins when the Sky News cameras.
One of the best pieces I've read on this whole thing, I'll tell you, was quite early on. Jonathan Friedland is a Jewish columnist for The Guardian. And he wrote a really, I think, amazing column in which he said, I can present, as a Jewish man, a very clear, coherent argument for why both sides have a right to feel most aggrieved in this 75-year conflict. It was a really interesting piece where he didn't take a position. He just explored the arguments on both sides, went back to 1948, and through a series of spiraling circumstances, hundreds of thousands displaced on both sides in those first few years, that ultimately you end up with a lot of very aggrieved people being pushed and shoved out of their homes. A lot of bloodshed starts. You then have a series of wars almost entirely started by the Arab side, but then the response from Israel often being massively disproportionate.
Well, you say started by the Arab side.
I'm talking about the specific flare-ups of war.
Well, the 1973 war.
Okay, so Jonathan Friedland, basically Piers Morgan is saying that he is a Jew, but he's very, very neutral. But that is not the case. Now, his question to George Galloway is that just like he is a Jew, but is still feeling or expressing his opinion in a neutral way and feeling the pain of the Palestinian people, he will be asking in the next question to George Galloway, do you also feel the same way for Jewish people? So this is Piers Morgan, right? This is Piers Morgan. He's bringing up this kind of example of people like Jonathan Friedland, but Jonathan Friedland is actually a Zionist. So Jonathan Friedland, yes, he does feel, maybe he said that, yeah, I do feel, grievances. I have sympathy for the people of Palestine. But do you know who he blames for their suffering? You guessed it right, Hamas. Take a look at this one. So Friedland, he said, responsibility for a death toll estimated to be in excess of 15,000 in less than 2 months rests squarely with a Hamas enemy that deliberately embeds itself in population centers, including in schools and hospitals. So in other words, Piers Morgan is giving us an example of a person who is a Zionist himself and who blames all the suffering of the Palestinian people. He feels the pain. He's like, oh my God, Palestinian people are feeling the pain and they're getting killed. But look at who is doing this, Hamas. So his argument is so nonsensical, Piers Morgan, calling or asking George Galloway to sympathize with the Jewish people, just like his, if you like, counterpart, Jonathan Friedland expressed. So this is absolutely an example of someone, a twerp. Piers Morgan doesn't really know how to match apple to apple and orange to orange. This is so pathetic of Piers Morgan bringing Jonathan Friedland in this conversation. I will not actually play the rest